As the lights dim, consider this: an enigma wrapped within a paradox, shrouded in mystery. Indeed, these words barely scratch the surface of the chilling tale that unfolds in our journey into America's past. A time when the nation was on tenterhooks, held hostage by a veiled assailant, the infamous Zodiac Killer. It was the late 1960s, and from the foggy outskirts of San Francisco emerged a grim specter of terror. A silent predator stalking the night, preying on unsuspecting victims, leaving behind not just cold bodies, but also an elusive trail of cryptic codes and letters. Each letter was a puzzle, an enigma that pushed investigators down a rabbit hole, leading them deeper into the twisted psyche of a man who eluded capture for decades. Imagine, if you will, a letter, carefully folded, ominously stamped, and delivered to your doorstep. As you break the seal, your eyes are drawn to a string of unrecognizable symbols, a cipher, the intricate musings of a cold-blooded murderer. This was the sinister reality for the select few who were the recipients of the Zodiac Killer's chilling missives. His cryptic communications were confounding and terrifying. They held a city, and eventually an entire nation, in a vice-like grip of fear. For each stroke of his pen, for each cryptic symbol he etched into the page, the Zodiac Killer was playing a game, a twisted game of cat and mouse, but with a terrifying twist, for this mouse was armed, deadly, and had a penchant for blood. A predator turned cinematographer, he delighted in watching the nation puzzle over his encrypted clues, just as a puppeteer would take pleasure in tugging on the strings of his marionettes. In the face of this terror, everyday citizens transformed into armchair detectives, consuming countless hours attempting to crack the code, to discern any meaningful clues from the Zodiac's cryptic scratchings. They waded through the ink, the symbols, the pieces of the puzzle left unbeknownst to them by this relentless specter of the American night. Their ambition? To unmask the face of this modern-day monster, to bring him out of the dark and into the unforgiving light of justice. But as the mystery deepened, so did the fear. The fact that this phantom killer was not only able to commit such heinous acts, but also lead authorities on a wild goose chase, building an elaborate labyrinth of codes, was a disturbing commentary on the times. It was a stark reminder of the dark underbelly of the American dream, a nightmare that was very real for the people living during these turbulent times. As we delve into this journey, tracing the unseen clues in America's most mysterious unsolved crime spree, we are once again reminded of the chilling ambivalence that lies within humanity. The Zodiac may remain an enigma, but it is a horrifying reflection of the limitless extents of the human mind. A chilling chapter in the annals of American crime. This is the story of the pursuit of the unknown, of the desperate quest for understanding, and the relentless hunt for justice. This is the tale of Unmasking the Zodiac. As the 1960s came to a close, the city of San Francisco, pulsating with the rhythm of peace, love, and countercultural revolution, was about to be darkened by a malevolent shadow. Suddenly, it was not just the visage of flower power and the summer of love, but also the hunting ground of a mysterious, unidentified serial killer, who would later be known as the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac's reign of terror began on December 20th, 1968, in the sleepy town of Benicia. High school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday sought solace in a remote lover's lane. That night, however, young love was extinguished by the abrupt intrusion of a shadowy figure who brutally ended their lives. Almost 7 months later, in the sultry heat of July, another couple was targeted. The scene was a quiet car park in Blue Rock, Springs Park, near Vallejo, where Michael Mageau and Darlene Ferrin sought privacy under the starlit sky. The couple survived the initial onslaught, resulting in Mageau becoming one of the few survivors and the first to provide a physical description of the assailant. The unknown murderer soon sought notoriety and identity, reaching out to the press. The first widely recognized communication from the Zodiac was a chilling letter sent to the local newspapers, the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. Enclosed in these taunting correspondences were cryptograms, puzzles soaked in the dangerous thrill of a cat-and-mouse game. This established the Zodiac's identity as a cipher-loving psychopath. His crimes escalated with the killing of the taxi driver Paul Stein in San Francisco's Presidio Heights. Far from the isolated lovers' lanes of his earlier crimes, this attack was in the heart of the city, heightening the communal fear and triggering a citywide manhunt. Despite the numerous investigative attempts by local and federal law enforcement, the killer's identity remained cloaked in shadows. The Zodiac Killer left an undeniable imprint on the American psyche and became a chilling specter of the unknown. The letters and cryptograms continued with a series of taunts and threats, even claiming a death toll far beyond what law enforcement had linked to the predator. Each new correspondence brought with it a renewed fear and a stark reminder of the killer's liberty, each unsolved cryptogram a stinging failure for the investigators. This reign of unknown terror carried on into the early 1970s, the Zodiac manipulating the media and law enforcement alike, his identity and fate a disturbing enigma. As the path dimmed and leads grew cold, the killer faded into obscurity. The Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries, a cipher that continues to haunt the collective consciousness, a dark, unsolved riddle in the annals of criminal history. The storm of revelations that were unfolding in America's most notorious unsolved crime spree was about to intensify. The horrid fascination of the general public was held captive by a series of deciphered letters, ambiguous suspects, and hitherto unseen clues concealed within the cryptic messages of a remorseless murderer known only as the Zodiac Killer. In late 1969, an amateur codebreaker named Donald Hardin and his wife Betty unraveled the mystery of one of the Zodiac Killer's ciphers, a simple substitution cipher known as the 408 The decrypted message, riddled with misspelling, revealed a chilling statement of purpose from the criminal. He revealed his morbid pleasure in killing, claiming that his victims would become his slaves in the afterlife. Yet, the deciphered message failed to unveil his identity. As the killer's grisly narrative unfolded, numerous suspects were identified. Some were former convicts, others were next-door neighbors, and a fair share were merely scapegoats. Among these was Arthur Leigh Allen, a convicted child molester who had served time in Atascadero State Hospital. Although Allen was ultimately ruled out through DNA and fingerprint analysis, indeed, the shadowy specter of suspicion never fully left him. While the cast of suspects kept multiplying, so did the unseen clues hidden within the Zodiac's correspondences. One of the most promising leads came from one of his most troubling letters, the 340-character cipher. Unlike the relatively straightforward 48, the 340 cipher was a conundrum, an intricately tangled web of symbols, numbers, and jumbled letters. The Zodiac Killer's twisted mind, it seemed, loved to ensnare those who tried to corner him. It took 51 years and an indefatigable trio of amateur cryptographers to finally crack the 340 cipher in December 2020. The decoded message, like the previous one, was chilling and impersonal. The Zodiac Killer expressed surprise that he hadn't been caught, further taunted investigators, and denied giving them any hints to his true identity. Each letter, each cipher, each deliberately misleading clue was a battle of wits between the killer and the investigators. The Zodiac Killer seemed to enjoy the twisted game, so much so that authorities at one point considered that he might be deliberately leading them down dead ends to frustrate them. This elusive dance of cat and mouse, the simultaneous horror and fascination it stirred, the fear it instilled in the public, the puzzling clues it left investigators, ensured the Zodiac Killer's hold over the American psyche. The unsolved mystery served as a chilling reminder of a man who once terrorized the nation, leaving a legacy that is as visually potent as his infamous cross-circle symbol. As we delve deeper into the Zodiac's cryptic world, we are left teetering on the brink of understanding and mystery, a precipice that has held the collective imagination captive for over half a century. The Zodiac case remains an open wound in America's criminal history, an enigma yet to be conclusively solved, a saga of unseen clues, unmasking hopes, and undying fascination. As the bird's-eye view camera pans over a shadowed San Francisco, the narrator's voice punctuates the eerie silence. The Zodiac Killer, this enigmatic figure that held an entire society captive, is as much a study of human nature as it is of crime. The profound impact this faceless phantom had on America, its society, and its law enforcement is immeasurable. The film cuts to a vintage visual of a bustling 1970s police station. For law enforcement, the Zodiac case was like falling through a rabbit hole. The unknown, the unprecedented, and the unsolvable constantly reshaped their worldview. It brought to light the importance of interagency communication and cooperation. Prior to the Zodiac, police departments often functioned in insular silos. There was a reluctance to share information, a territorial protectiveness that hindered progress. The unwieldy monster that was the Zodiac forced these agencies to rethink this approach. The need for collaboration became glaringly apparent. From here, the film segues into a montage of forensic scientists at work. But among the rippling impacts of the Zodiac's reign, the boost it gave to the field of forensic science is perhaps the most profound. This case was one that was littered with physical evidence, yet the technology of the era was not advanced enough to make sense of the clues left behind. This frustration propelled the advancements we see in today's DNA, fingerprint, and handwriting analysis. The Zodiac case was a driving force that pushed forensic science from its infancy into a maturity that today helps solve countless crimes. Next, we delve into the world of criminal profiling. It's an intense collage of experts discussing patterns, behaviors, and psychological markers. The enigma of the Zodiac Killer also led to great strides in criminal profiling. The absence of identity forced investigators to construct a psychological portrait based on the killer's actions and communications. This was one of the earliest high-profile uses of criminal profiling, and, although it did not directly lead to the Zodiac's capture, it paved the way for profiling to become a standard tool in modern criminal investigations. Black and white photographs of fearful citizens, locked doors, and newspaper headlines flash across the screen. Societally, the Zodiac Killer instilled a pervasive fear that seeped into the fabric of everyday life. This fear shook America to its core, irrevocably changing the way people viewed their neighbors, their communities, and their sense of safety. The segment concludes with hauntingly beautiful aerial shots of the California landscape evaporating into the night. In the end, the hunt for the Zodiac didn't just reveal our vulnerability to the unknown. It also highlighted our resilience, our ability to innovate, and our ceaseless determination to bring justice to those who lurk in the shadows. The Zodiac Killer, despite his chilling legacy, unknowingly spurred a revolution that forever transformed the criminal justice system. As the narrator's voice fades, a lingering sense of unease permeates the screen, leaving viewers introspective, yet more curious than ever. As the narrative of Unmasking the Zodiac reaches its final act, we are left grappling with an unsettling enigma. How and why, in a world of advanced forensic tools, DNA databases, and sophisticated profiling, can a case like this remain shrouded in mystery? The Zodiac Killer, whose reign of terror baffled and horrified society, has, to this day, eluded the grasp of justice. The lingering questions are many, the theories varied and controversial. The very identity of the Zodiac remains the most vexing of all these questions. Despite several tantalizing leads and persons of interest, there has been no confirmed identification. The cryptograms, both solved and unsolved, tantalize with their maddening combinations of taunting clarity and inscrutable confusion. Who was the man behind the chillingly calm phone calls? What drove him to such heinous acts and to so boldly communicate with authorities? And most bafflingly, why did he stop? Some theorists account for the abrupt cessation of his crimes with possible imprisonment for unrelated charges, or even death. Others argue that he may have simply moved to a different location, altering his MO and thus remaining off the radar, a terrifying notion that elicits a chill down one's spine. We may never have definitive answers to these questions, just as we may never know the exact number of his victims. The Zodiac claimed 37 murders in letters to the police, yet the authorities have only been able to definitively link him to 5. Was this discrepancy a cruel manipulation, an attempt to sow more fear, or were there other victims whose deaths have remained, tragically, unattributed to this killer? Various attempts have been made over the years to extract DNA from the Zodiac's correspondences, the most recent of which took place in 2018. Unfortunately, the results so far have been inconclusive. Whether modern science can eventually crack this case is another lingering question, another mystery within this broader enigma. After all these years, with so many details known, so many clues analyzed, how can such a notorious case remain unsolved? This enduring question is perhaps what makes the Zodiac case so compelling, drawing us back to revisit, to analyze, to speculate over and over again. The saga of the Zodiac Killer is a haunting reminder of the shadows that lurk within society. It's an unfinished narrative, a puzzle missing crucial pieces that one can only hope will someday fall into place. But for now, we must continue to question, to seek, to speculate. The Zodiac Killer may remain at large, his identity buried in the annals of criminal history, yet the quest for answers persists. We invite you, as viewers and armchair detectives, to ponder on this enduring mystery. Let us know your opinions, your theories, and your insights on America's most mysterious unsolved crime spree. Here, within the chilling tale of the Zodiac, lies a dark enigma that continues to captivate, frustrate, and horrify. A mystery that, despite the passage of time, refuses to extinguish its enigmatic flame.